Hello, everyone. My name is Brennan Hill, from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And today, I'm presenting our work, The Cognitive Architecture for Probing Hierarchical Processing and Predictive Coding in Deep Vision Models. Despite the massive success of deep learning in recent years, we're still facing a black box problem. We can measure what these models do, their speed, but it's present difficult to explain how they do in the way the maps our understanding of human cognition. While current models are often brittle, data-hungry, and susceptible to adversarial attacks, the prefrontal cortex is robust, efficient, and learns from few samples. We aim to take these principles to build more robust systems. To this, we introduce VCNet. This is an architecture designed as a computational testbed of the visual cortex, which to build a system that explicitly operationalizes leading cognitive theories of vision. It likes to test how biological principles actually influence machine learning dynamics, while focusing on the high-level information flow. Specifically, VCNet operationalized two critical neuroscientific principles. First, hierarchical organization, structuring the network to mirror the specific processing stage of the visual cortex. And second, top-down predictive feedback. The idea that the brain is not a passive filter, but an active prediction machine. By building these biological constraints directly into the architecture, we believe that VCNet can bridge the gap between high-level behavior evaluations, like did it classify the cat, and mechanistic interpretability, understanding the actual algorithm used to process visual data. Let's look at the architecture itself. This is a diagram of the visual cortex and its high-level connectome. Unlike a standard feed-forward CNN, the VCNet, which is modeled on this architecture, split into two distinct pathways, modeling the dual-stream hypothesis. The ventral stream, or the butt pathway, going from V1 to V2 to V4. And finally, the IT, which is a stream focused on the object's identity. On the other side, the dorsal stream, or the butt pathway, going through MT and MST, which specializes in motion and spatial reasoning. It also includes the computational blocks, including multi-scale front ends, to mimic V1 receptive fields, and lateral connections simulate cortical interactions. One of the most critical components is how we handle information flow. In standard network, data just flows up, so you see that we implement predictive coding. At the bottom level, we have our sensor representation of V1. It receives the raw sensory input from the world. Simultaneously, the higher level layers of the network, specifically the IT, generates a hypothesis. This is a top-down prediction of high-level concepts, such as this is a cat, projects downwards to predict what lower-level features, such as edge or texture, should look like. The network computes the actual sensory input against this top-down prediction. The difference between them is prediction error. The error signal is what drives learning. The network isn't trying to classify. Instead, it's continuously trying to minimize its own surprise about the world. This forces the model to learn a robust, generative internal model of its environment. So what does this architecture actually do to the data? View this bill as geometry. The raw sensory input is entangled. It's high-dimensional noise, where identity, position, and lighting are all mixed together. The goal of the VCNet architecture is to disentangle the manifold. The ventral stream functions to collapse nuance variables like pose and lighting, creating a separable category manifold. This gives us invariant object recognition. Meanwhile, the dorsal stream preserves the geometric structure and learns a continuous geometry that represents where things are and how they are moving. By explicitly separating these streams, VCNet can solve complex tasks with much less parameters than a monolithic model. To test this behavioral account, we look for a test that mimics evolutionary pressures of early vision. We chose the SPOTS10 dataset, consisting of animal patterns, cheetahs, hyenas, and jaguars. Identifying these patterns in noisy environments is a fundamental survival task for primates. Look at the chart. Blue dot at the top left is VCNet. It's made. We achieved 92% accuracy using only 0.04 megabytes of parameters, compared to the gray dots. We outperform them by over 10% accuracy while being roughly half the size. This suggests the bioinspired architecture is strong inductive bias for naturalistic patterns. Next, we're going to test the processing count. Standard 2D images are flat. The biological vision is rich in 3D. Use a Stanford light field dataset. The light field cameras capture light intensity in addition to directions of light rays, providing depth and parallax cues similar to the human visual system. Again, VCNet demonstrates superior efficiency. In light field classification, VCNet, the blue triangle, achieves 74% accuracy with a model size of just 3.5 megabytes, which is significantly smaller than the benchmarks. This confirms that the dual stream architecture is uniquely suited to preserving rich, high-dimensional visual data. Conclusion, VCNet demonstrates that we can build a better AI by looking at the brain. By integrating dual stream entanglement and predictive coding, we create a model that is both robust and incredibly efficient. Therefore, we plan to perform systematic evolution studies, effectively performing lesions on the network to quantify exactly how each cortical area contributes to behavior. We also aim to implement even richer biological mechanisms, such as explicit precision weighting for error signals. Thank you for your time. You can scan the QR code to read the full paper.